So it's basically just a well-known fact now that the only thing that I'm good for is making typography-based t-shirt designs. Breaking news, he sucks at everything else. He finally admitted it. Well, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do some more typography-based t-shirt designs, and I'm gonna stretch my abilities here a little bit. There are a couple of illustrations. What?
Say what?
Yes, it is not only text this time. We've got a couple of different illustrations. This one is from a very, very well-known brand, so please don't just go and copy that and publish it. I might get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. Please don't make me get in trouble. But I've gone to the holy grail of all inspiration sites, once again, Pinterest. I love Pinterest. If I could work for, never mind. But I found 6 new designs, and the type on these are maybe a little bit different than some in the past. I don't even know how many I've done. Like 6, 7. Between 5 and 7 videos I've done of these typography t-shirt things. And a lot of the designs are repetitive, and we're well on our way to recreating every t-shirt design that's ever been published on Pinterest. And to continue towards that goal, we're gonna do these 6. Let's have a look here. So we've got some very clean serif font action going on, a little illustration, a little coffee thing. I've not really seen one of those, it's pretty retro. This, just very clean sans serif spread out type. This very luxury based, it looks like a Comfort Colors shirt with a DTG print, very standard, but you can make things look very luxurious depending upon the design and the print. I mean, a Comfort Colors shirt is not very expensive. DTG is very cheap form of printing, so you can make things look really high dollar. You could charge $78 for that shirt, and the right person with the right eyes and the right advertising would buy it. So let that be a testament to you to achieve your dreams. This one, Sporty and Rich, is definitely a very, very well-known, minimal kind of design in clothing company. Yeah, their stuff looks great, and they've looked like they've got kind of a collegiate font going on. This is probably just like a varsity font, which we've got a couple of in Kittl, and then some very thin, a little bit, somewhere in between a condensed and a regular sans serif. It's not quite condensed, but it is a little taller than normal. And then, is this not necessarily an illustration? But a threshold effect. And so basically threshold is where you're telling it to basically take your image and turn it into complete black and white. No gray at all. It's just black and white. And depending upon where you adjust that slider, it's going to adjust how much gray turns to black and how kind of blobby the effect looks. We don't have a threshold effect in Kittl, but I am going to show you a way to achieve that because it's very easy. You can very easily do it. We've got some very interesting type layout here. This looks to be 2 fonts. I can kind of decipher what kind of script font that is down there. It's very grainy. This is not a very high resolution image, but nonetheless, we can get the type layout. And it's interesting that this is like, you look at this and you probably put it on an artboard and it doesn't seem centered, right? But it feels good to the eye because of the way that the type is laid out in these breaks right here. This break is mirrored here, this break is mirrored there, and it just looks good, right? And if something's kind of unbalanced, but it still looks good, it looks good. A lot of t-shirts have designs here on the right chest and there's nothing on the left chest, and that's like uncentered. No, it looks good. So you could dispute that pretty easily. And then we've got another very, very classic. I know this is not Babus new, but it looks like Babus new, like just a kind of a semi-condensed font. We have a new script font because we partnered with Monotype recently that looks exactly like that. So we will be using that 100% for sure. There's no use in dragging out the post-Thanksgiving work scaries. So we're gonna dive in, all right? So what I love to do is get an actual just cutout of a t-shirt and put it on my artboard so that I can design on it without having to design and then put it on a mock-up. It just makes the whole process kind of faster and rules out things immediately that aren't going to work because of placement, or it doesn't sit right, or something may look cool on the artboard, but it looks like crap on the t-shirt, right? And so we're gonna avoid that. It's gonna save time. So I'm gonna go grab a picture of a t-shirt that we can remove the background from, and we're just gonna use that for every design.
Oh, you recording?
Yeah, I am. Drew has a ride with a rotisserie chicken. Yeah, Awesome. So we've got our blank white t-shirt. I'm just going to change the color of this artboard so that we can distinguish from the shirt a little better. And it's not super high quality PNG t-shirt, but it'll still kind of give us the look and feel of what we're going for. So I am going to right click and lock this in place and then get started with some text. So I'm going to hit T, drag my text over onto the shirt. And then this looks very, very close to instrument serif. So I'm gonna grab that. I'm also laptopping it today. I'm on a laptop. Normally I have my computer hooked up to a monitor and I have my keyboard, my mouse, and this doesn't even need to be here right now because I'm not even using it. But that's to give you no excuses, right? I'm on a laptop. You don't need to have your monitor and the keyboard and the mouse. You could do this. Go to a Starbucks and just make t-shirts. Cool, I'm gonna close the letter spacing on that quite a bit. If you've watched the other videos, if I'm ever using instrument serif or really any serif font, I like to close the letter spacing quite a bit just to gives it that kind of 90s luxury feel, just to not have that text spaced out. Cool, so I'm gonna go for some different type here. I might do like coffee club. Cool, a trick there to size out the text box from the center and not have it move over like this is just to hold Option or Alt if you're on a Windows computer first, and then size that out, and that will allow you to size from the center. Super helpful. So let's center that right there. I'm going to, again, hold Option and drag this down to copy that text box. Give her a little double click, Command A to select all the text. That helps you not have to kind of click and drag to select all the text, makes it way faster. And you'll learn these little keyboard shortcuts as you go along. Let's just say member, and we're gonna size this text up quite a bit. It looks like it's the widest thing on the design. Widest, not whiteist. Very different. Cool, and so something that I've been experimenting with recently is adding, if there's not another font weight, I've been liking adding a little bit of an outline or a stroke to the text that's the same font weight in the same grouping so that it almost looks like the same weight as the bigger text box. And I'll explain what I mean when I do it. So I'm gonna go to text shading and add this third box, make sure that my color matches there. Make sure the offset is down, and then I'm just gonna add a little bit of weight to that just to beef that up. And so that looks a lot more balanced to me than without. It kind of looks a little thin and not connected, right? And like it's not part of the same thing. Normally, you know, if the smaller text box is less than half of the height of the biggest text box, then I'll probably just bump it up a font weight. Like if this is light, then I'll make this medium, and then it helps it kind of give it that weight back to the text. Okay, so we've got another text box down here, and we're just gonna go generic. Everybody on the collection, so let's just put collection there. Looking great. Nice, tight text together. I might add a little bit of a space just to let it breathe a tad. Looks awesome. And this is funny. Down here, we've just got, I think this is actually a mock-up. Bendito mock-up does a phenomenal job. They're all Photoshop mock-ups, so you'd have to have the Adobe suite to use it, but their mock-ups are absolutely insane. They're really expensive, but they're phenomenal. They do a great job, and they're just very, very high quality. They look great. That's why this just says t-shirt, and then it has the size of the print, I guess, which is super duper funny. But we're gonna copy this font down here, and we're gonna think of some text to put in this box. That's what we're gonna do. Let's do something coffee related. Medium, roast. I'm not gonna roast you a ton, just medium. And then I'm going to put some text on the top left and right. Before, yep, see, Bendito mock. I knew it, all right? You see stuff and then you recognize it and you're like, oh, that's what it is. And this might actually legitimately be instrument serif because of the way that the T kind of curves up on the edges. I swear it is. I want $5 if I'm right. Well, cool, so we're gonna look for a font to put on the sides there. Kind of looks like a very typewriter-y analog type font. Courier might work. And let's go regular, and again, we're gonna close that letter spacing quite a bit. And we're just gonna put something in here. Yeah, it's all caps as well, like official club merch, and then close that line spacing and make that quite a bit smaller. And I'm just gonna copy that over to the side because I'm lazy, but you can make that 2 different text boxes. You could make it whatever you want. Now we're gonna hunt down a illustration to put here. I'm gonna check in the elements panel first. If not, Duda actually drew a bunch of awesome kind of naive sketch illustrations, and I think something coffee related was in there, so that's a good fallback if we can't find something. But I don't have to do that because I found some awesome coffee illustrations, especially these right here. That is just hilarious and I love it. So we're gonna need to size that up. So just to give our little character a little bit more room, I might bring that bottom text box down, and then I can bring our character down some more. And to beef up this illustration, because it is a little thin and I want it to a little bit more closely match the weight of the rest of the shirt, I'm gonna add a border onto this, just a little border weight, maybe not that much, something like 2 looks really good. And so you can see the difference. If I take it off, it's really, really thin. And I like to err on the side of a little bit thicker when I'm adding on stuff to an illustration. So maybe something like 2 or 3. 3 looks great. And we're gonna say that that's our t-shirt. That's phenomenal. You could start a whole Etsy shop, just call it Coffee Club, and make a bunch of shirts, and then change this icon out with a bunch of different icons and go to town, whichever town you're closest to. So that is the first shirt. I love it, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to top it, so I'm kind of upset that I did it first, but we're gonna move on. So I'm going to copy and paste my little t-shirt over and make the background the same as well. And then, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and copy these over to the other canvases as well, so I don't have to keep going and unlocking this each time. Efficiency. Cool, so this is just a dope little text-based design. 2 lines, sans serif, and then it has these text boxes around it, and we can find something awesome to kind of mirror this style. So this doesn't seem too difficult. We're just gonna find a nice sans serif text, and I think our new partnership with Monotype and the ability to use Helvetica now should make that really, really easy. Who would have known that Graham's favorite font was Helvetica? Haha, hee hee, makes sense. So looks like all caps. And we're gonna close the letter spacing just a little bit there as well. Space that text out. And we're gonna let's do something like health and wellness related. Take care of yourself. Those lines fall really nice. There's not too much variation between the lines where like the top line is super long and then the bottom line is super small. And like you want it to kind of be either like here and then boop, just a little bit smaller, or boop and then a little bit bigger. You don't want there to be a ton of difference between those lines. I need to make that a little bit more condensed, and then we're also going to close that line spacing as well. -10 looks awesome. And we might need to bump that font weight up a little bit. What's cool about the new Helvetica in Kittl is that it's actually the variable version of Helvetica. So instead of trying to decide between light and medium or medium and bold, you just have this little slider and it's gonna give you everything in between, right? So no longer do you have to try to find the right weight between your 4 options. You can just use the slider and it'll take care of it for you. Cool. So we're gonna make this just a tad smaller, and we're gonna copy this text box out, and then we're gonna kind of replicate that idea. It's like those little text boxes are extensions of this, like ways that you could take care of yourself. So we could say like take a walk, and then we're gonna size that down quite a bit, and we're gonna go over here, drink water, of course, stop drinking so much soda. Please stop doing it. It's not good for you. Drink a little bit more water. Promise you'll feel better. Take a walk, drink water, say, read a book, visit with friends. And we can do a little bit of variation. We can have some 1-liners, some 2-liners, just to kind of spread that out some. Visit your family. We're gonna bring that over here. And something interesting starts to happen where once we have 4 to 8 of these, we want to like move them around to make the placement of it feel nice and balanced. get some sleep. I'm gonna space that out. I might put that up here. And I'm gonna get another 2-liner down here. Spend time on your hobby. Yeah, and so we're gonna space these out to where this kind of looks the most balanced. And I feel like I might need one more text box. Say slow down, because everybody would be going a little too fast, you know, so we're gonna put that there. I might put this guy up here, and then we can space these out accordingly. And that's actually starting to look pretty balanced to me. Bring that guy up, that a little closer, and then this right here, space that out. And it's not gonna be perfect, but it's supposed to be a little wonky, and that's okay. That looks pretty balanced to me. There's nice weight all around it, and so we're gonna say that that's the second design, and I'm done with it. I'm moving on. I don't need it anymore. All right, third design. Go ahead and change the color of our artboard again. So we have another amazing new font in Kittl with our Monotype partnership called Künstler Script, and it is phenomenal. It's very good font, very luxurious, a little bit thinner than luxurious script, and just a little bit more ornate, a little more luxury, a little more 90s. And so it's gonna help us achieve that feel. And so let's think of some text here. We're gonna go Design Club. Already super cool. I would literally put that on the back of a shirt or the front of a shirt and just wear that. Looks great. But with this design, it's not that easy. So we're gonna keep going. I'm going to size that up a tad and copy this down. If you've been really paying attention, you've probably noticed that some of these kind of margin boxes are popping up. If I hold Option, this is a new thing that we're trying out, hasn't launched for users yet, but essentially it's a way to show you how close other objects are to the thing that you have selected if you hover over it, which is pretty useful in certain cases. So I already know that I'm gonna use Archivo. It's a great sans serif font. I know this font's gonna work super well for this because I did it for a couple other designs. Again, we're gonna hit that all caps, just makes things really nice and easy. What I like about this font for this is that the individual characters are designed in such a way to where each of them kind of takes up the same amount of space horizontally. And so it looks very clean, very uniform, almost a little bit digital and modern. And so that's gonna help us achieve that kind of new money aesthetic. And then we're gonna put some more text in here. Design only great things. Size that up. And so we've got a little bit of an issue here that I run into regularly, which is if you're using certain words, those ligatures like from a G or a J are gonna sloop down below the text line and then make it so that you can't put text there. And so each situation kind of has its own way that you can resolve that. In this instance, I'm gonna get a little bit creative and just do this right here. Best solution, I don't know. A solution, yes. So I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller, and I think that looks pretty cool, actually. We're gonna nudge that over a little bit, make sure that's centered. This is centered as well. And then it looks just like more text, maybe a line, a little illustration, and we're good to go. I'm going to bump this up one font weight. That looks pretty good. And we're gonna say Graphic Design Owners Club, and then we're gonna close that line spacing. -10 always looks great to me. It's a great default if you're looking for one. And then we're going to copy this down, create, left align, copy that over, maybe right align this, and change the text on that. Curate is about the same length. Make sure that those are middle aligned. And then it looks like we just need a little shape in between to connect those two. We're gonna use this line right here and make sure that the colors match. Group that, and then we can tidy it up with this as well. And we're all centered up. And so I may need to bring this down a little bit, and then I'm gonna ungroup this, copy this down, and we're almost in 2025, so I'm gonna say established 2025, make sure that's centered up. And then I just need like a little icon here. And so I'm gonna go to my elements, and I might just use some stars to hit that luxurious feel. And that doesn't look bad to me. I just need to close the gap here and size this up. And this definitely works better for a back design for sure. I'm also going to make this quite a bit smaller so that it fits under and doesn't compete with that top line of text. So I definitely like this more as a back design than a front design, but you could put it on the front if you want to. All right, moving on to the next one. I'm gonna lock our t-shirt. And so this is not as complex as it looks. And I also get to show you the cool trick on how to make things look threshold without actually having a threshold effect, which is fun. Cool, so we're gonna look for a nice collegiate font. So we have a couple in here. We have University. Tricot is very, very collegiate. We also have Hemisphere Sans, which I like a lot more, and I'm actually using in one of my new collections, not the upcoming one, but the third drop, which we're not even anywhere close to for On Time Studio, but I'm using it for that, and it actually looks pretty sick. So I had recently found this font and love it. So we're gonna use this, and this is super easy to add a transformation and arch. And so that's one way of doing it. You could also put it on a circle, and I think the way that they did it in this one was more of a circle transformation. So it's typing around versus kind of lifting the text up like this. So we're gonna do this instead and make that smaller or larger. We could make this a back design, that'd be pretty cool. And I'm gonna space out those letters just a tad so they don't touch each other on that curve. Got to watch out for that when you're doing text transformations. And we're gonna go running, or let's say run club. That looks great. And then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look for a picture of a couple of dudes running, or people, or whatever. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna look for an image of a couple of people running. This one might work. It looks like it might have too many people in it, but what we can do is crop this, and then we're gonna see what the background remover does with this first. Not a good job. But that's okay, because this is really, really hard to distinguish. So I'm gonna find one that is a little bit more clean cut out. It is always worth it to invest time to find the right picture to use, I promise. We're gonna see what happens with this one. That one's actually pretty good. So we're just gonna straighten that out. And I promise this is going somewhere. I'm gonna zoom in, get that eraser tool going for those bits and pieces that we don't need. Doesn't need to be perfect because we are gonna be vectorizing this, so it's gonna do a little bit of its own interpretation. We're just getting rid of some of the obvious things. We'll get rid of this right here. You can use the left and right bracket keys to make your brush bigger or smaller. Super helpful. And I'm not even sure if erasing this in here is necessary, but we're gonna do it anyway. Now here's where the threshold thing that I was talking about comes in, because you might be thinking like, what are you doing? That's a stupid picture and this looks bad. Well, it's about to not look bad, and I promise. We're just gonna click our picture, go over to Image Vectorizer, and we're just gonna leave this color on 1, and we're gonna see what happens. I have not done this yet, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna look sick. I told you it would look good, and you didn't listen to me, but that's okay, I promise. You gotta listen to Graham. So we're gonna size this to where it looks good. You could also cover up this text if you don't like that. I could just come in here and find some shapes to fit over top of that. And then when I export my design, it'll just be all one piece and it wouldn't be an issue. You could cover up that text right there, this text right here. That's just if you don't like it, or if it's like copywritten and says like Nike or something, you might want to cover that up. Now nobody would even know. And I could even group these together. And if you wanted to make this whole thing one piece, you could download this selection as a PNG, re-import it, and then vectorize it again. That's just if you didn't want to deal with it being a group and be different parts. That's probably what I would do, just to kind of bake it together and make it a single element that I don't have to have any problems with or fiddle with anymore. And I think there's some more text, and yeah, so let's see what we can look for here. Text-wise, let's find a nice, we might be able to use Helvetica and just use the variable version of it. Let's do that. All caps, run club, and let's just do running related text, annual marathon. Close the line height, size that up. And that's actually pretty close to that kind of text. I might need to actually bring that in some more. Let's see. It's relative to the size of the text. So that looks great. So maybe we want to put that right here. Could do that. I actually kind of liked it more down on the bottom. And what if we just made it one line? And then we could just say 2025. Align those, group it, and align it to the artboard. Make sure that these two text boxes are aligned with each other. There we go. And I might want to up the weight on this just a tad. And that looks great. I don't think there's anything that I would change to that. Great Run Club shirt utilizing the vectorizer tool to make something a threshold. Looks awesome. And what you could do to make this even more illustrated and less detailed is that you could download it as a PNG at a lower resolution, import it, and then vectorize it again. And it's going to kind of round out those corners and those edges to not look as detailed if you wanted to make it look a little bit more like an illustration. Okay, 2 more designs, 2 more. We're almost done. All right, so for this one, it looks like similar font style to, even that looks cool. Literally just that text on a shirt looks awesome. You don't need anything else. So I'm going to up the weight on this, maybe make this just one text box for now. Yep, let's up the weight on that. And we've got this kind of misplaced text design, and we could do that with 4 individual text boxes. You could do it with 2 text boxes and just add spaces in between those letters. I'm gonna do it the first way, which is to make it 4 individual text boxes, and that way I can reposition them a little bit easier. Outdoor supply and resources. So this is like kind of a nature type thing. I'm gonna do something that I know Drew would love. Mountain, get the weight down a little bit, left align that. Mountain and waterfall, and we're going to displace that off right here. Club, and then we can just do this right here, and we've got some nice distinguished gaps in between our text. And then we can grab all of these, group that together, and center this up on our design to be our first element of text. I might need to bump the weight back up a little bit. Something like that looks good. And we just got 2 text boxes and then a script right here. So I'm going to ungroup this and then grab this text box right here and size it down. And we're from North Carolina, so I'm going to do Appalachian. I think that's how you spell that. Oh, it's I-A-N. Nice. Looks good. We're going to place that right there. Copy this over and then right align it, 2025. And then we need a little script for right here. Something like adventurer looks pretty good. Take, hike, see the sights. And we're going to place that right here. And definitely a little bit different of a text layout, but that's a good thing. We want it to be a little bit different. And let's try a couple different scripts. That one's too thin for sure. That one's too funky. I think adventurer looks great. I think maybe if we just size it down some, that looks awesome. So I'm going to go with that and say that that design is finished as well. Got to change my artboard background color. Sorry. One last one. This one should not be too difficult at all. I'm just going to use Babus for this, and I'm going to say new club because I'm lazy and I don't want to do anything else. Put that text together some. The closer the text is together, the bigger you can make that text box, which kind of goes with everything. So I'm going to make that text pretty close together so that I can make this text box nice and big. And we're going to go for Kittl script for this again. And I'm just going to put some random text in here, size that up. And if you wanted to beef that text up a little bit, you could add the text shading like I like to do, just if the font doesn't have another weight and it's not giving me enough beef. So something like that looks pretty good. And I think this text still works for this. The Helvetica now more condensed setting is pretty good. So I'm going to say Kittl design, left align that, right align this, Berlin, Germany. You put Berlin, Germany on anything, it looks pretty cool, honestly. Let's actually save that for the bottom. So let's put Kittl design, graphic designer, Berlin, Germany. Center align that. Or we could put Berlin, 2022. That's when Kittl was founded. And I'm just gonna select all of these and bring this whole design down some. I think that looks pretty sick. And I'm gonna say that that design is done as well. So that is all 6 designs with some new tips, tricks, and some other kind of things to add to your designer's tool belt from this video. That's all for today. If this video was helpful, drop a comment and let me know. Make sure that you support the channel by subscribing and liking this video, and share this with a friend. If you have friends that you know that are designers or artists in general, they're an Etsy seller, or they're just wanting to make a personalized gift for their friend or get into the world of design, shoot this video over to them just to pique their interest and share Kittl with them. As always, we have a promo code for you in the description of this video to get a nice beefy percentage off a pro plan. And if you're not ready to financially commit, that is totally okay. You can try Kittl out for free today. Go over to kittl.com and give it a try. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.